TLPT opening event here on Korean Islands. I'm joined here by Rita, Shinhwa, and we're gonna crown a champion today.
We are. Another trophy for you to give out, Selena, because we are playing down to the winner, and it's going to be a fantastic score for one of these nine. Playing for near 26,000 USD up top. That's 40 million Korean won. Not too shabby off a 600 USD or so buy-in. 9 players remaining. Everybody is locked up. 2,000 USD. Pretty good day at the office, but it's time to try and 13x that with just 8 spots to go. We can see on the top right of the screen we're counting down hands at different blind levels. 8 hands to go for this one.
So we're seeing Jeju trend here, raise it up to 60k.
We can see stacks on the shallower side. About 20 bigs. Is the hijack opening queen 10 suited. About 20 bigs in the big blind as well after posting. So a proper final table, Selena. We have a lot of ICM in play. Definitely your bread and butter. First off, with the a6 defense, is it a mandatory defense, or given the fact that the stacks are so close to each other?
Yeah, I mean, like, they're both a relatively deep. It's great structure. I don't mind a. Oh, is it? It's 20 big blinds here, isn't it? 20 big blinds. But against a hijack, I think a6, I don't mind defending at all. I think that because of the dynamic and if the player has been more active, I definitely would go calling. There is some merit to, if the player has been overly aggressive, you can bring it through that as well. That player there is actually the one that out of Team Japan
Right.
that came runner up to the first run up to the Team 7 national. And it was really funny because we tried to do an interview, try to get a photo shoot and everything, and he's like, oh, let me play the big blind, let me play my small blind, let me play my button, and so try to work around that.
Well, that's amazing. What a day for Team Japan. We did just spot them actually collecting their winnings at the cage or the cashier.
And I think he might be the only player on this table that is not flying Chinese flag.
Yeah, I believe we spotted. Let's just take a look. A couple. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's kind of sad actually now that you mention it, because when I did walk in back to the casino, I saw the rest of Team Japan, who'd clearly been out celebrating. They'd laddered up the extra 4K. And looks like he missed out, but for a good reason. Guaranteed at least 3 million Korean won. Playing for 40 million up top. Yeah, gotta let the Broadway cards go in the low jack. Sort of a middle position open. And this certainly doesn't seem defendable. Even without the ICM in play, the raise also slightly bigger than 2x. I will let it go. Did see stacks earlier. Largest stack was 27 bigs, smallest 8 bigs. I'd say the average is hovering somewhere around 20 bigs. But note the top 4 stacks, 22 to 27 bigs. No outright chip leader, really. And a bunch of middling stacks, too, that can be put under a lot of pressure with that 8 big blind stack in the mix of Ma Ning. Next pay jump is about 750,000 Korean won. About 500 US. It's always nice to get a nice score in the opening event. Feels like you're free rolling the rest of the series. Back-to-back premiums, ace queen suited this time, just a 2x open. Yeah, maybe could consider a stop and go as the shortest stack there, but a bit hesitant against the now early position open. So Ma Ning, after posting, would be down to 6 bigs. You gotta be joking me. Ace queen suited again?
How is that possible that it's literally the same player? It's just getting all the hands.
And now this is really gonna be making the rest of the table question what is going on. Sometimes people do come into final tables with a whole different gear, so 3 raises back to back. You can start imagining that something nefarious might be going on. King Jack suited. Could be the resistance being planned, and there we go. Chip leader on the table has had enough. Makes it 3x, and this looks mighty strong. UTG open being 3x from +1. But if it folds back to Jin with ace queen suited, I wonder if he'll be able to figure out the leveling here. Well, never mind. Chang wakes up with ace king.
Wow, it's interesting to see so much action in front of you when you pick up a hand like ace king. It does put it away.
Yeah, and Sang is going to be priced in, mind you, with the king jack suited.
Ace king lets it go. And this guy was just probably thinking, you know what, I was just putting up a stand against the guy on my right who's been raising 3 hands in a row. And, you know, ran into premium.
I'm so curious what Jin would have done if It was folded back to him with the ace queen suited. And now, on the one hand, you're getting amazing pot odds. What if you're up against, let's say, pocket tens in particular? Frankly, getting the right odds even against something like queens. He does make the call. Is dominated. And this is a chip leader pot, one way or the other. Near a million chips in the middle. There's a jack right in the window.
Ouch. That is the one card you don't want to see when you hold the ace.
Ace or queen needed. There's the ace in the river.
That sheer joy now.
Yeah. The involuntary smile. Who can blame him? Chip leader now at our final table. 32 bigs. The first one across 30. Ma Ning with 5.5 bigs. Can lead to a lot of pressure being put on some of those middling stacks. Big swing in the form of Sang going way down in the rankings of the chip count.
So this actually structure is relatively interesting. Did you know that the blinds go up every 15 hands?
Yeah, was just told that, and then of course we do see the counter on the top right, and I think it's great. Should actually help with the pace of play. No reason to tank to try and get, you know, the shorter stacks into trouble. You do see that from time to time on some of these tables.
No, I'm curious. Is this a format of this particular event?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I don't think I've ever played an event when the blinds go up depending on how many hands you play.
Yeah, I will say more of a recent phenomenon and likely reserved for the final table. Although, yeah, I'd be pretty curious to check in on the rest of the series. We'll definitely find out, just so you and I are in the loop.
This should put Zhang Yu as one of the chip leaders on this table.
He is. He has over 30 bigs. Outright chip leader. There's a tiny stack of Ma Ning. Finds 6-5 suited. Gets to RFI from the button. I think the big blind is nearly priced in anyway, but the ace-jack certainly qualifies. Two live ones. Can Ma stay in this tournament? There's a jack. Two of clubs offers the slightest of hopes, but the king of spades takes it away, and we're going to be down to 8. Nearly 2,000 USD for his efforts. GG to the 9th place finisher.
Final tables in a tournament, it's always one of the most fun things to play, right? It's actually very different to say the grind leading up to it. And it's unfortunate that, you know, you bust out so quickly on a final table, but you know, the dynamic of a final table is very enjoyable.
Yeah, it did come in the shortest stack, so likely had made peace with it. Got it in with 2 live ones, as we said. And a nice little bankroll booster. 2,000 USD or so off the 600 buy-in. Yeah, the pay jump's getting mighty serious now. 2,500 locked up. Next pay jump is about 1 million Korean won. About 700 USD. Queen Jack and the chip lead. Early position. Playing 8-handed now. Shortest stack has gone away, so the amount of pressure you can put is a little bit reduced. Yeah, I like the discipline. Lets it go. Too many players behind. King 5 and a pretty cool pair of shades. Oh, we're opening King 5. Opening into bigger stacks than his as well. This is pretty wild. Ace 5 suited for Jin. Was active for a few hands. Decides to not take the spot with Ace 5 suited. Frankly, was begging for a 3-bet. Maybe it's because I can see the hands. Yeah, it's a cheeky one through. You seal a pot like that, pick up the blinds and antes, it just kind of gives you that buffer to be a little more patient for the next couple of orbits. Ace 10 seems openable off 19 bigs. Queen 9 suited, surprisingly not interested. This goes to show. Bay jumps playing a huge role. Yeah, we can let the 7-5 go as well. Mitsumasa picks up the blinds and antes, each of these feeling super crucial at the moment. Look how close stacks are. I believe we have 6 players between 15 and 25 bigs. Pay jump a full buy-in at this point. So the tension no doubt building. Well, we saw the King 5 steal. 10-3 would be stretching it. Just one hand away from the level jump, and it's a big one, going from 30 to 40k. Those middling stacks will certainly feel the pinch. The stack dynamic seems quite ripe for some light 3-bets, but nobody really getting the spot. We did see the Ace-5 suited let go of the opportunity. Well,
Oh,
that's-
defending that big blind.
that is quite surprising. 9 deuce. Actually does flop best, including the baby flush draw as well. That's one way to use the chip lead, I suppose. Check, check, and the baby flush does come in. Introduces some chop outs now. Should be the end of the hand, though. Chip leader about to cross a million.
Now Zhao Jiahao is checking his hand. Nope. So, I guess, this guy, right, Zhang Yu on the screen right now, he's got one of those faces where it's similar to the other guy, right? Like when he tries to bluff his opponent, you're more likely to believe him.
I see.
Do you know what I mean? Like there is just a certain look to a person that you're like, I think you've got it, right? So, for example, the Japanese player on this table, right? I'm like, oh, I think you're bluffing me.
It doesn't make complete sense to me, but I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like he looks like he could be up to no good, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's usually a good thing in poker, to be up to no good. So it's certainly not an insult. It just means you have to know what your image is putting out. And Selena, you're nicely letting the players know how they can balance against their own image. Will make me think about what I'm giving off the next time I'm playing at a live poker table.
Yeah, and the guys wearing sunnies, I do think that maybe their bluff frequency would be higher than a player who is not wearing sunnies. Do you know what I mean? It's just they want to hide behind something so that you can't read what they're trying to achieve here. And usually, it's up to no good.
What about glasses? I think glasses inspire trust.
Yeah, I do. But then it could also mean that, you've studied a lot of poker.
That's true. It could be like Ike Haxton. Never trust Ike Haxton.
Now,
Oh,
Han
okay.
Yong-nai here with the Queen 9. Looking to raise it up on the dealer button.
Game flow wise, maybe trying to exploit the fact that the chip leader is in the position he's least likely to get involved from. Especially with a hand like King 3. Nine 4 is indefendable. Look how much each pickup is worth, with the blinds at 40k, 100k being added every time. Shortest stack is 315k, with another sub 10 BB stack right behind.
Now, this kind of stack size on the final table, it's really anyone's game a little bit, right? You have a middling stack, they double up, they become the chip leader. The blinds are going up every 15 hands. You really, really have to start chipping up a little bit as a short stack, because once the blind catches up, and you don't want to dwindle to a point where you do not have any fold equity. That's just the worst thing, because people are going to look you up with, an 8-5 offsuit, right? It's annoying when they have to call any two cards.
Our chip leader right now has just 25 bigs. I'd say the average stack is something like 16, 17. So, yeah, just a couple of pickups, just a couple of steals really puts you ahead of that pack. And we're talking about a pay jump. 8th place right now, good for 2,500 USD. Going all the way to about 10x.
Tao Junjie here, under the gun, a little bit out of line, raising into 80k with a hand like 10-9 offsuit. You know what? I look at him and I'm like, in the photo, he looked like he's quite innocent, but he's wearing sunnies on the table, right? So he's up to no good. He's up to no good.
Now
So
he's wearing sunnies, but they're see-through. What does that tell you? They don't hide his eyes.
Oh, no. Tao Junjie, he's wearing actual sunnies. The guy that's raised up with the 10-9 offsuit. the original Razor. He's got those thick rimmed, like the sunglasses on.
Yeah, we did see him raise with the King 5 as well. For some
Yeah.
reason, I thought that they were sort of transparent. We'll wait for the camera to cut back. Mind you, the chip leader does have a mild decision with pocket sevens, or not really, I suppose. Can't let this one go.
Pretty strong plays at the, in front of him here. 3-bet to 200,000. Back to Tao Junjie here. He's not really looking to do anything.
Yeah, now we're looking at a side angle, but if he catches the front angle, yeah, there you see it. You can see his
Oh.
eyes.
Oh,
It's so
right. You're saying it's
confusing.
not so right.
It's almost as though he's wearing it just for the sun, or in this case, the lights.
The lights, yeah, the final table lights.
Well, he's posturing pretty hard. He's certainly the most out of line based on the level that we've seen thus far. Open King 5 off in the cutoff, got that one through. This time, good lesson to be learned. If you're going to steal, you do it from late position because there's too many players behind. The long range steal attempted with a 10-9 off does not work out. And you certainly want to do it with a blocker at least, right? To reduce the
Right.
chance of
Yeah.
exactly what happened. Ace
yeah,
queen.
like maybe like ace fives, ace deuce, 2-3 suited. Might be a bit better. Less chance that the guys behind you pick up an ace.
Some people just want to be table captain, no matter how many chips they have. And we love those people. Let's keep up the aggression. There is the blocker, but 580k, good for about 15 bigs. Needs to preserve his stack for the moment. There's effectively 5 stacks tied between 15 and 18 bigs at the moment. I mean, that is severe ICM jail. But as you said, this is the level to make some moves.
Zhang Yu here with the king jack on the cutoff, making it 80k. Just a minimum raise. Now Tao Junjie has a very playable hand in the big blind.
Play it, he shall. King 6 deuce. Very favorable for the chip leader. Got shot for Tao. No heart and he's out of position. If we do see a C-bet, bit challenging, I would think, off a 13 big blind stack to continue. Let's check out the sizing first. 220 in the middle. Looks like... Yeah, looks like we've gone
Oh,
massive.
that's a big bet. I was thinking that, maybe you let a few of the other hands stick around that, might have like a gut shot, right? But for 200,000, I think it's a lot for his opponent to call. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking about, he to him 4 outs, right? But it's going to cost him 40% of his stack.
Yeah, that feels like a misstep. Works out the way it likely would have, irrespective of the sizing, but what are you getting called by? I mean, you block a king, but most likely something like king 8, king 9. Any better king, maybe, is just 3-betting.
Yeah, because at times you do want hands like 6-7, the 6-8s, any of those big blind hands that, somewhat connected with the flop, but they have bottom pair or second best pair, right? But when you blast the flop with such a big bet and your opponent has only 520k in his stack, he's actually not going to be calling with those hands anymore. But if you were to put out, say, a 50k, a 60k, he's gonna look up one more card, and you're getting a little bit more value from your top pair.
Let's see if he's balanced and if he does the same thing when he misses the flop as well.
Yeah, but at the same time, he is telling his opponent, you know what, I'm committed, right? Like if you were to just get it in here with me, I'm calling you, right? So that's a very clear message he's sending out at the same time. Han Yo-nan here with the ace queen. Very healthy amount of chips. I think it's probably second place on the table
Yeah, I
in
believe
terms of
so.
stack size.
Comes in for just more than the minnow open off a 22 big stack. Deuces don't want to get involved. Understandable. Tao looks like he always wants to get involved. He just really seems pained every time he has to fold a hand. Looks like he does make the call. Or was that a time bank? That's a time bank.
Time bank.
He's tanking with Queen 8 suited from the small blind against a +2 open. Not sure there's much to think about. Well, he's
His
thought
queen.
about it.
It's 3 betting chips right there, isn't it?
Yeah, raise, he says, and puts in, I believe, 200. Well, I'll tell you what, I like the sizing. It's quite non-standard. With the open at about 2.1, he's made it 5x. But from the small blind at these stack depths, it just looks so strong. But somehow he's left himself 320 behind. I mean, this looks like one of those I'm committed 3 bets.
Exactly.
But I would argue he's not committed. So far, we've seen him open King 5 from the cutoff, 10-9 UTG, and now 3 bets Queen 8 suited from the small against a +2 open.
He's ready to play.
If he somehow gets the ace queen to fold, that would just be incredible. What a result for the Queen 8 suited that would be. But the ace queen does come along way too strong to not see a flop. 480 in the middle, 320 behind for Tao. And it's 2 diamonds.
Wow, great board for Tao to continue here. You know, usually when you get caught, where you have a hand like Queen 8 suited, you're just like, oh, you know. But that flop does allow him to keep up the aggression.
Don't forget, he's the covered stack. There's 2 shorter stacks than him, at least at the start of the hand. And he's just going to rip it and hope for the best. Ace Queen wants a count, but the ask is for about half their own stack. I mean, this is just worked out like a charm for Tao. I don't see Han calling this off. After all, you don't beat any of the value range. You need to be putting Tao on some sort of a wild move like the one he's pulling here. Yeah, I think the cards are about to hit the mark. Oh, a time bank, bit of a tease. Could be that the ace of diamond is a factor.
He does have the ace of diamond. He's thinking, is it possible his opponent is on a draw of some kind?
Looked like he almost put in the chips. It's actually bad to have the ace of diamond here, in the sense you want your opponent to be pulling something like this with the ace jack of diamonds or the like, and he decides against it. Wow, Tao really getting away with one.
Yes, definitely one of the more exciting players to watch out for on this table. We see that Zhang Yu is still currently chip leading the final table with 29 big blinds, and Tao has moved up and now currently sitting comfortable as second place in chips.
Well, you were saying, Selena, got to make some moves. I was talking
Yeah.
about 3-betting light. Tao puts it all together, climbs up the ranks. 2 stacks below 10 bigs. His move was very dangerous, mind you. Could have been ICM suicide, as we call it, with 2 shorter stacks in the mix. If he'd suddenly imploded, if his opponent had ace-10 instead of ace-queen, for instance. All that being said,
The thing about these days is that with the quality of the resources out there and with the amazing streams that, you know, different companies are putting up, all the players are so capable now, you know what I mean? Like, this kind of stuff did not exist before. Like, the time when I used to be out there, you know, playing Macau in Asia. You don't. But now they get all these things that they can watch and they're like, oh, that's a really good move. I'm going to pull that next time, right? So they've become very unpredictable.
yeah, I call it XYZ poker. You know how you have ABC? We're on the other end of the spectrum now.
I like that. So Zhang Yu is thinking about it. Very pretty hand there. Facing a raise. Oh no, what is going on exactly? I'm trying to figure out what.
Yeah, +2 open, and I think we're just going to get in the sub-10 big blind stack.
Okay, so it's Zhang Chenfen that has shoved it in now on the hijack with his pocket jacks. After Zhang Yu has raised the queen jack suited.
So are we priced in with the queen jack suited? 260 to call, getting 2-1. He's going to use the time bank. He's getting the exact odds that his hand actually has, 37%.
Yeah, definitely asking. And, yep, just kind of have to call there. I mean, it's better than having Jack 10 suited there, you know?
I guess.
At least you've got that queen overcard. And let's sweat it. It's always more fun when there's a sweat, right?
Yeah, let's have a sweat. Let's have a club to begin with.
Oh, there it
How about
is.
2?
There it is.
That is a pretty sick sweat. 2 queens and clubs live.
Oh, man. Way more outs than his opponent wants to see.
On the showdown only happening now with that 1 chip behind situation. So the slight snigger from Chan Fang because he needs to dodge quite a world of outs. Safe turn.
Red.
And there it is. Club on the river. And we see an elimination on this final table. 7 players left. And Zhang Chenfen is going to walk away with 8th place finish.
Yeah, good for 3.75 million Korean won, 2,500 US. And everybody now guaranteed. The next page up, a full buy-in. 4.76 million locked up now. Right as he yells red, a club rolls off. Poker is so cruel.
That's the problem with having a short stack to a point where there's no fold equity. You know, we're just talking about it. You know, Zhang Yu, if the guy had more chips, even 15 bigs, I can see him folding queen jack.
Yeah.
Very easily there, you know. But with less than 10 bigs, he's priced in for a call.
And with these pay jumps, you don't want even the 70-30s if you can avoid it, right? So the chip leader really extending the margin of comfort there. Up to almost 1.5.
Small blind. great hand. Feeling pretty good looking down at King Queen. Not minding getting in at all, especially versus player who actually cover. We do see that Zheng Chuanyu is the shortest stack right now on this table.
Yeah, not the most pleasant pickup for Xuanyu. Jack 7, 6 bigs. Has to let it go. So one outright short stack, one outright chip leader. Technically open season to just mount the pressure.
Now Zhang Yu sitting very pretty with 1.6 million chips, 40 big blinds, and the second place on the leaderboard is with 20 big blinds.
Next page, I'm nearly $900, 1.5 buy-ins. Can we just start opening any two in the chip leader's shoes as long as the short stack is around?
Yeah, because all the players do have to take that into consideration. We're talking about a player on the table with 5 big blinds. You know, but at the same time, I don't know if this is an open.
You have to worry about being priced in against the short stack shove, I suppose.
Now Tao Junjie here, very playable hand, Queen Jack of Hearts on the hijack.
He has a real hand. I don't even know if he knows what to do with it. We haven't seen him with a real hand before. Honest open for once. 2x.
Now short stack in a small blind with a playable hand here against this particular player. You know, is he gonna get it in with ace 4?
I'm surprised to hear myself say this, but I think there's an argument for just calling and actually saving the 150k and seeing what kind of flop we get, but he actually lets it go. Would rather wait for a better spot. Does get to see plenty of free hands, so considering the average stack is close to 15 bigs, there's a chance there's fireworks in the next orbit, and he gets a pay ladder perhaps.
Now the interesting thing here is, you know, the relaying of information, right? So when you as sit 1 get informed now about what Tao Junjie has been up to, especially with that ace queen, queen 8 hand, then you are going to change up how you're going to play against that particular player. But for now, he's giving him credit for having, say, an overpay on that board, right? You know, if he know what he's up to, then he's probably going to be a lot of times 4-betting shoving versus him with a hand like ace queen in the future.
And right now, unlike the team's event, no phones on the table, so we'll wait till the break for the players to get informed. Unless they have a rail, I suppose. Tao is just frustrated as always every time. He knows he has to fold.
Yeah, because the thing is, I think his range is so wide that it's actually rare for him to look down and be like, oh, this is not a playable hand. A very good hand to pick up on the dealer button. As a short stack, you're just jumping for joy at this point. Ace Jack suited with 5 bigs left.
And some fold equity too, mind you. Would be getting in a lot of light hands. King 10 is tricky.
King 10 is tricky. Because I can see, you know, the player on the button with the short stack getting it in with a lot more hands that King 10 actually beats. You know, I can see possibly King 7, King 8, King 9 shoving there. You know, you've got only 2 players to get through. You know, I can see Queen Jack being there, which King 10's ahead of. Queen 10 possibly being there too. Jack 10, there's a possibility there too. So yeah, like a lot of hands that King 10 actually dominates.
So the stack on his left is the chip leader, so one of the covering stacks in the tournament. That being said, I think you're supposed to isolate and jam here because your own stack is just about 15 bigs. So let's just pretend that there was no jam on the button. You'd probably jam in the small blind anyway with a hand as strong as King 10. And considering what you just mentioned, Selena, he decides King 10 can be ahead enough. Does come along with just a flat call. I understand the impulse because if the chip leader decides to reshove and isolate, you can't get away from it and hope for the pay ladder. That being said, would have had some fold equity if he jammed himself. So the end result is the same, and it's very favorable for Chuan Yu. Ace-Jack suited. Now, I should point out, in terms of the chip in a chair story, we did see the 1K stack in the team's event go to 35K. So I'm a new believer in chip in a chair stories.
Wow, the King 10. A lot of outs for them. And does not hit any of it. So Ace-Jack finds a double.
Here we go.
510,000.
7 bigs, all the way up to about 14.
Now Han Yong-nan is our shortest stack on the table after that duel, sitting with 9.4 big blinds.
It's a new dynamic at the table once more. We don't have a tiny stack in the mix anymore. We do have 4 stacks below 15 bigs, between 9 and 14. And the pay jump going from guaranteed 3,200 or so all the way up to 17.3 million, so about 2.5x of the current if you can survive 4 more spots. So Selena, with every decision at the final table technically being worth so much more in equity and essentially money at this point, is it fair to put in most of the studying towards final table strategy? But then if you do that, how do you reach the final table to begin with?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think that what needs to be studied is, you know, when you have a lot of chips, how you play post-flop differently to, say, when you have 10 to 20 big blinds. So when you're on the final table, usually, you know, very much this case scenario where those stacks are not deep anymore. And that's what you got to study, right? It's so important to know how to play 10 big blinds, 15, 20, right? And watching Tao doing what he did with the Queen 8, that's actually really interesting because he's representing such a strong holding by doing so, right? Like, you're like, he didn't just jam it in, right? Because if he just shoved it, maybe Ace Queen does call, right? But then now when he 3-bets, Ace Queen's gonna like, oh my God, why did he just shove? Does he have aces and kings here, right?
He 3-bet from the small blind under a 2.5x 3-bet and 40% of his stack. Meanwhile, we do have the understandable King 9 rip from the button, which, by the way, goes to show why the King 10 was an isolation. We do see the 10 big blind jam here. And Zhang puts it together. Ace 10 is calling ace and a 10. This looks like his curtains for Han, and certainly with the boat.
And this is how quickly fortunes can change on the final table, because we saw Han Yong-nan as, you know, second in chips not too long ago, right? And yeah, with these kind of, you know, shallow stacks on the final table, it's anyone's game, right? But right now, Zhang Yu is in a very commanding position, sitting on 49 big blinds with 6 players left.
Everything's just going his way. Everybody now locking up 6.26 million Korean won, over 4,100 USD.
Dude, that's a good day of poker when, you know, you haven't looked at your whole cards. Somebody's going in with a small stack. You look down, you're like, oh yeah, easy call, right? So all you do is just call it and bust out players.
And what about the remaining players? They're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. Another 900 USD locked up.
That's where the money's made, because now, like, your hourly rate has really gone up, right? Now this is what you've worked very hard for.
And I do find it a fascinating part of MTD poker because you now need to resist the urge to really just let marginal situations go, because you just start, loving life. Making money by folding is much easier than making a big stack at the final table. Really taking those spots as we saw Tao take. So that's always the dilemma. So you don't have to just study short stacks. You also have to study ICM. And maybe a gut check as well in terms of how much the pay ladders mean to you versus going for the win.
Definitely. I feel like I get asked this quite a lot in the past, and it really comes down to, I think, the buying of the tournament, right? So how I would play like a 1K USD buying as opposed to if it was a 10K USD buying, right? The final table money jumps are going to be so crucial in my decision making when it comes to that, right? When you're poker pro and it's a 1K final table, like the pay jumps here, you might just be looking to go for the hardware, right? At that point, you're just like, yep, I'm going to play for the win. And then when it's a 10K, you're just like, no, I'm taking all that ICM into account. I'm looking to ladder up. I'm not going to put myself into these difficult spots. And over time, these players have gotten sophisticated enough to question whether or not you're willing to, right? So they'll constantly attack your raises if they feel like you're one of the middling stacks, right? They're putting a lot of pressure on you with 3 bets and so forth. It makes your life really difficult.
Isn't this also why a lot of players are actually deleting their Hendon mob? Just because...
Is that right?
Yeah, because
you could. So you can go on there and you can choose to just hide, like literally just disappear on Hendon mob.
So credit to Hendon mob for making it a pretty high stakes decision. The reason being that once you delete it, you cannot get it back. So as somebody who was quite a famous ambassador for a long time, your Hendon mob is very valuable when it comes to your, let's just call it esteem in the poker world, your creds.
Yeah.
At the same time, these tournament grinders, including some I know personally, they really do feel that as somebody who makes a living going around different MTT tables, sitting down, they're not as well known as you, right? So they have a decent advantage in being underestimated. But now with a lot of tech available where you can essentially see who's on your table, look them up by name, and then look
everybody
up their
do that.
hand knobs. Yeah,
they will do the research, right? They look at day 2, you get your listing, and you're like, who's on my table?
You do the research. So they've gotten rid of the hand and knobs. I find it very fascinating, though, because now if you look someone up and they don't have a hand and mob, you can assume it's a pretty decent hand and
so
mob.
you're like, he's a sicko. So when do they introduce this? Or it has always been around?
I think you could always delete your hand and mob.
Okay.
I mean, technically it would be a privacy issue, so
yeah,
makes sense that you could always delete it. But yeah, I've been hearing more and more of players doing that, mainly because of what you said. People announcing day 2s. Think about the WSOP. The app is available. Many tours. APT, Triton. You can actually look up who you're playing with real time. So yeah, people don't want to give away any edge.
Oh, I've got one for you. Have you ever seen results added to you when you have not been to that tournament series?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, because it happened to me. Because I'm like, look, I saw my Hendo mob, and my latest result is me going to Jeju, playing this year in a tournament, I believe in April. Okay? I have not come to Jeju since last year, and apparently I'm registered having a finish somewhere, right? Like one of the events. And I'm like, wow, like how did that happen?
Have you been sleepwalking and taking a plane and coming down to Jeju? Mind you, we did just see some extraction with the Ace-8 against the 8-7, and I do see this more and more that somebody as active as Tao, as aggressive as we've been discussing, they tend to be calling stations as well because they give their opponents credit for bluffing as much as they do. So well played by the ace-8 to essentially check until their opponent got a piece. So the stacks have evened out between Tao and Xuan Yu. Wakes up with ace-3 suited. I will say that I logged into my hand in mob and my country was mistakenly, let's just say, a country somewhere in the Middle East. And immediately I just messaged them being like, maybe now is not the right time to get my country name wrong. Can you fix it back to India? Yeah, the long range steal works. Chen going with the game flow a little bit, has that blocker we mentioned that's crucial, and we are shorter handed now. Much easier to get through 5 opponents versus the 7 or 8 that were being attempted. Pay jumps are getting quite serious as they tend to do, Selena. 1500 now, the next one. So would you say there's merit to just thinking about pay jumps in the form of buy-ins, or you think the absolute amount?
Well, it's actually quite funny because I didn't used to in the past, and Nano does. He's like, oh, this it's pretty good because you get like 100 buy-ins, and I'm like, oh, like I'd never thought about it, right? Like to me, I'm not using that money for the same tournament. I'm usually using that money for the other events, and then by next time he comes around, I don't think that chunk of money, is going to be around anymore, right? You would have spent it on other buy-ins throughout the year.
Yeah, so that's good logic. I always wonder about that in terms of whether it is the right approach. But, you could argue you're getting to play this event 5 more times in the future, wherever it might be.
Yeah. I think some of the players are like, oh, this event might get me a chance at playing the high roller.
Yeah,
yeah.
So that's one buy-in.
Exactly.
Up top.
I can roll that into more money.
It's a satellite.
Under the gun, Zheng Chuanyu raising it up with the king, queen of diamonds, and Jin Bo Xin in the big blind with a defendable hand, pocket fours. 45k to call.
Now, can he just put together that he just raised light under the gun? His opponent could be raising light under the gun. We can turn our pocket fours into some sort of a funky 3-bet.
What's your read on this banana situation? Is it a snack? Is it his lucky charm?
Yeah.
But his lucky charm kind of expires, right? That's the issue.
I feel like I can see it expiring in real time. Like, it's quite oxidized.
It was like the banana from yesterday, right? But because it's kind of got the run good attached to it, it's just like, I can't eat this right now.
I see. Yeah. A day 1 banana being
day
brought
banana,
into day 2.
Exactly.
And just look at this. Jen
Wow.
does find the creative 3-bet. This is quite unconventional.
Yeah, we were just talking about these under the gun raises, right? And it seems like, it's not really being kind of respected.
I will say that Chuan Yu is giving away a decent amount. Just the way he's sort of looking at the clock, I assume, when he looked away, and looks a tad bit uncomfortable. Makes me feel like he's leaning towards a fold.
All right, because I feel like if he's got kings or aces, he'll be very stoic, right? I feel like,
Exactly.
like you're like, I don't want my opponent to get any read off me at this point, right? But by him looking around and just kind of like wiggling his chair, it does mean weakness. I can see that. But I can also see that he's probably one of the less experienced players on this table. Some of the other guys, looks like this is any other game for them, right? They're probably like, every other night sitting at the table playing cash games with their friends. We do see a call now from the king-queen suited. Now, off to the flop we go. I can see that the equity between these two players are very close, but what a flop for Zheng Chuanyu to continue. And you know what? You would not be upset getting in here. And not a very good flop at all for Jin Bo Xin here.
Really hope we see the rest of the board here because we have a royal draw, folks. Nice give up by Jin. Has to be tempting to just rep the ace, or at least take a small stab.
"15 outs. What is the most number of outs you could possibly have, right? This would be very close to that.
Yeah, this got to be up there.
I
2
see.
overs.
Yeah. 64% equity in this hand.
Yeah, I like the decision by Jin to check. Meanwhile, Chuan Yu a little bit gun shy. Maybe worried about being up against aces precisely. But that would be seeing monsters in the closet. Could have considered jamming the flop. I know it's tough with so much ICM, so many pay jumps to consider. You just want to maybe try and realize your equity in position. But jamming the flop there is going to get so many better hands. Essentially any made hand to fold, including pocket fours as it turns out. Instead, he gets checked to once more and now fires a small bet. Really small bet, I should say. Under 2 bigs. Should get the job done. Impressive stack preservation by Chuan Yu as well. Did not just want to take the easy decision of jamming on the flop. Instead, it's taking a small stab on the turn. And in general, why use a lot of chips if you can get it done with fewer? Yeah, I really thought Jin was about to go for it. But fair to say, I think he's revealed the strength of his hand at this point.
It would be so cool if he does this and then still goes for it, right? Like
Like-
as an opponent, you're like, oh wow, like he has to have it, right?
Yeah, you think you got a full Hollywood, you know?
Exactly.
Like a reverse style.
Exactly, right? How sick would that be?
I mean, there's just no way. He has pocket fours in a 3-bet pot. Oh my goodness.
There it is.
What
That's
in
a
the
raise.
world
That's
is
a
going
raise.
on? We are taking it
And
to the streets.
It's a minimum raise, isn't it? It
Oh,
is.
yeah, he's clicked it. He's representing a jack somehow. I mean, even with aces, are you ever clicking it?
Well, this is interesting, right? Because he's breaking it down. He's thinking to himself, all right, so if you had hit a strong holding on that flop, right? Say if you, for example, you know, pre-flop, he's thinking you didn't jam, right? So what kind of hands could you possibly be holding? And he's just thinking that, you know, there's a chance that he's still on drawing hand.
Yeah, this is one of the crazier hands I've seen in a while. For one thing, the under the gun open, being 3-bet to begin with from the blinds with pocket fours is uncommon. Now with the min click, ordinarily so strong, it's just that Jin does not expect Chuan Yu to have a draw in this spot. I mean, he has the best draw possible. And he's let the royal flush draw go. Oh my gosh, what a result for the pocket fours.
That's amazing. And it had to be pretty much done on the turn, right? Like
Had to be.
Yeah, it's actually pretty sick because majority of players, they might bet a significant amount on the flop, and then with the stack, they might just be putting their opponent all in, right, at that point. And the opponent pretty much do not have, you know, like they cannot take control of the pot, right? But what he did there allowed his opponent to take control of the hand and made him fold. You know, like I just didn't think King Queen's gonna lose.
I mean, what is he repping there, right? Like, aces, ace, jack would be the near nuts and likely would never check raise. Although, I suppose you never know, considering the unconventional plays we just saw. Very tough to have a jack in your 3-betting range from the blinds. That was just so trippy, and I must say I'm amazed to not see the 75k bet being called. What if you hit a royal flush?
Yeah, that was that was crazy.
Mere mortals like me cannot help but chase a royal flush. And Zhang is like, all right. I had to sit around.
And it was exactly what we're talking about, right? Like you said, the way he looked down, kind of pretty much sighed, and really looked like he was going to fold the hand and then come back for a check raise.
Yeah, both of them did that. And I would argue Jin did it to a much greater extent on the turn. I was so convinced he was going to fold for that reason. And then he did pull off a reverse tell. I think that must have played a role in the king-queen suited being folded, because you have to think you're drawing to like one out to let the royal flush go. You just think you got the full Hollywood. You know, there might be merit to pocket aces in particular check raising there, because you unblock jacks.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't make much sense for ace jack to raise for sure, but yeah, if you end up in that spot with pocket aces, which would make sense as the hand was played. What a hand. I'm still processing it. There's so many hands where I wish we could just run to the feature table, 30 minutes in the past, and just do a quick interview. What were you thinking, sir? And what were you thinking?
Well, you know what? If any of these players that was in that hand wins a tournament, I'll include that as my interview question
Yes, please.
for tomorrow,
Oh,
and
Selena.
I'll come back to you with the answer.
What a superpower. Now I have to be biased in the booth and root for one of them to win the tournament, because I really want to know.
And Tao Junjie here, hijack with the goods, pocket aces. Raise it up to 85,000.
Would love for somebody to fight back. Would love for them
Ooh,
to
rare.
somehow know how wide he's been thus far, and pocket sixes might qualify. I mean, these two are the absolute creative geniuses on the table, as we've seen. Nothing creative in this one. The Sixth Sense allows the pocket sixes to get away. Chuan Yu, who I have to say got slightly owned in the past hand and is no doubt feeling it, has a hand with which you can speculate from the small, but it would be for about 20% of his remaining stack. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, wow. What a mistimed shove. Getting in for 335k. Probably a little bit tilted, you know, from that previous hand. Because to be aggressive with a king high draw is one thing, but then for you to,
Fold a royal draw. I will say a bit out of line for Jang to ask for a count with Jack 4, but doesn't really matter because we're playing by counting down hands, so the time doesn't really affect the pace of play. And now, rough shape for the Queen 9 suited. Did take the spot against the right opponent, I could argue. You know, Tao, we did see the King 5 opens, the Queen 8 suited, 3 bets. Just runs into the top of range, the absolute top of range. Sometimes they just have top of range. Now we need to catch. It's a start. One club, one jack. 10 of clubs would be the ultimate sweat. 9 does give him 4 outs. The jack seals it for Tao Junji, though. Down to 5 at the final table. GG. Chuan Yu, pardon me. 6th place is good for 6.26 million Korean won, about 4,200 USD.
And Zhang Yu is still chip leading on this final table with 50 big blinds. So what a great spot to be in. And being 30 minutes in the future, we are we saw the King Queen player stand just there, looking up at the big screen behind us and watching that pocket. He saw the pocket fours. Do you know what I mean? Like, it pains him. It pains him because in his mind, he's putting his opponent on a hand much better than pocket fours.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to regret it so much because that was a game changer for him. He lost a lot of chips in that hand. He could have been sitting pretty. He did not need to shove his queen nine. That hand he played previously does change his destiny on this final table.
Yeah, I mean, I found it pretty impressive how he did not shove on the flop, which is a pretty natural move when you flop such a strong combo draw. Obviously, the fours would have found the mark. After that, I was actually impressed with the small stab in position. You have to be worried about getting blown off the hand, but I just assumed he's not getting blown off the hand because, again, such a strong combo draw. It all just went the wrong way, and that is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. A coulda, shoulda, woulda game in poker is too tough to comprehend. Just has to reset himself, move on to the next one. Nice little score as well, mind you. 4,200 off a 600 buy-in. But as you know best, Selena, at the end of a tournament, there's only one person happy, really.
It really is. And that is what it's really tough playing poker tournaments and try to really, make it your job. It is one of the toughest ones because I think that a lot of the cash game players look at tournament players like, how are you guys doing this? Like, it just doesn't make sense, right?
A friend once told me that the job of a tournament player is to wake up, go to the venue, bust, and come back. And then every once in a while, you get a deep run.
Yeah, for sure. I did not ever go out to the World Series. And the first time I ever went out there, I paid $10,000. I believe I played exactly 45 minutes of poker. So it was terrible, right? Like paying premium for every minute I was sitting there. Aces versus kings, all in pre.
And you had the aces?
I had the aces. And boom, turn was a king.
Oof.
And it just pained me so much because it's the main event, right? I've never been, and I'm like so happy getting into that spot. I'm like, oh, I'm going to double up now, right? Dodge the entire flop, and I'm like, okay, 2 more cards. And then no, I'm walking back, I'm catching a taxi back to wherever I was staying, and yeah, very, very disappointed.
Now, is there ever a silver lining in those spots of thinking, at least I busted early?
Rather than make it to day 4 and just busting before the money?
Yeah. You got to look at the silver linings. I mean, how else do you survive?
But then would you then kind of go well, I'm paying money for entertainment, and if I play till day 4, then the amount of money I'm paying per minute of playing is a lot better.
For a recreational, I completely agree, as we were talking earlier. But for a professional poker player, technically you freed up 3 days. You fire the next tournament, and you're a plus EV player, and you make money elsewhere. I mean, for a recreational...
Or you burn money elsewhere.
Or you burn money. It is Vegas. There's plenty of places to burn money. I'll tell you a funny example of sometimes how recreationals, even at a high level, so to speak, approach it. I was listening to the All In podcast. It's a bunch of VCs, and they're quite famous for being...
Oh, okay, so it's not a poker podcast.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay,
it's a bunch of venture capitalists and now basically politics. But putting that to the side, they're all friends with Phil Hellmuth.
Okay, so he plays those amazing home games that we all
with billionaires. They're literally billionaires.
Be invited to.
As we do see the kicker play, so the rich are going to get richer. I mean, Zhang Yu has just not looked back. 2.4 million now.
Chamath is in that one, isn't he?
Yes, I was going to tell a story that concerns him. So Chamath, who frankly is not that good a poker player, but that's fine. It's not his bread and butter by any means, but he thinks he's pretty good. Right. He thinks he's pretty good at everything, actually.
All poker players, if you play poker, it's like pickleball. You always think you're better than you really are.
Exactly. We don't have ELO in poker, that would crash the poker economy. So coming back to it, Chama is telling a story of how, I guess Phil Hellmuth convinced them to play. Maybe it was the 50K buy-in at the WSOP.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Which obviously is very high stakes,
Yeah.
but not for these guys. I mean, they need for the buy-in to be that large to even.
yeah, it's like us entering a $5 tournament, right?
Yeah, you got to feel something, you got to feel the juice. So, anyway, all this to say, he's recounting the story on the podcast. Obviously, he wants to make himself look good.
Right.
So he says how he played a $50,000 buy-in. Obviously, it was full of poker's elite players.
Yeah.
And he finished in the top 25% of the field. And I was like, that's not a thing.
That's
But
not a thing. You
if
did
that
not make
makes-
the money. You
Yeah,
did
but
not make the money.
According to him, it's a deep run. He didn't care about making the money, I suppose, because that's not going to do anything in his
Yeah,
life. But,
yeah.
he just wants a deep run. And for him, top 25%, even though it's out of the money, is good enough.
See, that reminds me of my daughter. She was in cross country, right? So as a little preppy, they're only required to do 2 laps, okay? So I'm like, just cheering her on, egging her. I'm like, hey, you're going to do really good, right? You're going to finish like, top 10, right? I'm just like telling her. And then she turns to me, she goes, Mommy, as long as we finish the race, it doesn't matter where we finish.
Wow. Schooled, Selena. Schooled by Noah.
And I felt bad for egging her on, right? She's like, no, all I care about is that we finish the race. That is our goal. And I'm like, all right. all
Now,
right.
Selena, I don't mean to be stereotypical, but there are some stereotypes about Asian mothers. And it looks like we've gone the opposite direction here.
Yeah, I know. And my daughter's telling me, you should just be happy with what you have, right?
Instead of being a tiger mom, you've been like koala daughtered.
I really have.
Just keep things fun and
yeah,
chill.
Yeah, chill. You
Aw.
chill, no pressure. I see A6 on the cutoff here. Zhang Yu raising it up.
What is Tao so pained with this time? And by the way, now that we have a front shot, there's something written on his sunglasses.
Oh, does it say Burberry?
It does say Burberry. So it's not about hiding the eyes, it's about showcasing the Burberry.
No, but you see Zhang Yu here? He's actually sized it big. Do you see that?
Oh, he's gone 5
Yeah.
bigs.
He's stopping somebody like Tao from, kind of looking him up. He's kind of saying to Zhang Jiahao here that I'm putting you all in already, pretty much, right?
And this
Yeah.
is not easy with the Ace-4.
No, not easy at all. It's tough. And he is the shortest stack on the table, I believe.
Yeah, but there is another short stack in the form of Mitsumasa. So after posting, Jiahao does become the shortest stack. But I think it's tempting to just preserve. After all, Mitsumasa will need to post as well. He's going with it though. Technically behind, quite a large chance of a chop. I think both players will be okay looking at their opponent's holdings. Obviously, Zhang Yu not too bothered. Still has 2 million in his stack. So crucial spot for the rest of the table in case we do have an upset. 5 and deuce actually gives the smallest of chances in the form of the wheel draw for Zhang Jiahao, that is. King of clubs now as the flush draw as well. 18 outs.
That is a lot.
We've run out of space. And it does come a 3.
Wow. That is not an out for just a chop. He wins the whole pot and brings himself up to 735,000 chips.
What an upset for Mitsumasa, who was no doubt anti-railing quite hard. And why not? The next pay jump is 2,300 USD. Nearly 3.5 million Korean won.
No, so part 2, right, of the cross country. This year, I didn't say, hey, like finish anything. I was just like, yeah, Nova, it's not just about finishing the race. And she came 12th.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Out of?
she came 12th in a way where, like, I could see that she could have pushed herself harder, but she was just kind of like, but she didn't look tired, nothing. She was just kind of like, oh yeah, like pretty chill, right? And then she was very happy with coming 12th, and that's like making the money.
Is that how you see it? But what about going for the win? Got a final table next time. I think being obsessed with improving would be a cool piece of software to impart onto young kids, right?
So that's that's also the reason why I believe Japanese players are so happy when it comes to poker, is they have a belief in their culture. It's called Kaizen, right? It's the idea of improvement, but even just that 1%.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why that culture has so much history of perfecting an art.
Well, speaking of the Japanese players, we do have Mitsumasa understandably taking the spot, and it's good timing considering it was against the chip leader open. However, Tao has woken up with pocket tens, and he's going to be going with it. He knows that Zhang's opening range is going to be mighty wide, 5-handed with the monster chip lead. Here we go.
Isolation. He's getting his stacking there.
So on the one hand, rough shape for the Queen 10 suited, Selena, but think about all the dead money in the mix. We have the blinds and antes, the 100k open, and it looks like it's going to be essentially a triple up opportunity to the extent we can best the pocket tens. Yeah, look at that. Nearly 900k in the middle.
Suited and an overcard. Let's see what we can make on that flop.
Yeah, 40-60. Pleasant enough. Are we down to 4, or does the short stack survive once more? Now the 9 added as an out. Turn changes nothing. 6 outs going once. It's paint with the wrong variety. We lose the Japanese player on the table. Part of Team Japan from the team's event. What a great run between the team's event. Yeah, I mean, 5th place good for 5,674 USD. Team Japan walking away with 12,000, I believe it was.
Yep.
So let's say split 6 ways,
2K a pop.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. Yeah, so that's why when you visit Japan, you go to these shops, right? And if it's a udon shop or a ramen shop, they only just specialize in that one type of food, right? Because you're like, oh, they're going to make sushi and they're going to make dumplings and they're going to have like, sashimi and just like the whole shebang, right? Agadashi tofu, you name it, right? No, nothing else on the menu but ramen, nothing else on the menu but udon. That's what they're specializing, and that's the only one thing they make. Can you imagine telling an American restaurant or an Australian restaurant that you have one item on your menu and that's all you make?
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, that would not stand in India either. Maybe apart from like street vendors.
Exactly. Like you have like little cart, right? And you're very limited to what you can make out of that little cart. But at the same time, they still give you options. Like maybe possibly different toppings or whatever. But yeah, it's just specializing like that one item, and then everybody starts lining up for just that one item, Yeah. It's quite admirable because it's a different way of thinking, because now you're not trying to compete yourself with the others. You're competing with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So being able to be that 1% better is much easier compared to your like, oh, I'm going to be the best in Japan or the best in the world, right? When it comes to poker goals, right? That could be tough.
I'm going to pull up this meme on my laptop, which reminds me of what you're talking about. Have you ever seen this about how 1.01, which is to say 1% better every day? So 1.01 raised to the power of 365 is 37x. And if you get 1% worse every day, 0.99 to the power of 365 is 3%. You end up at 3% of where you started, as opposed to 37 times
Wait,
of where you started.
is that correct?
Yeah, that would be correct, because compounding is so crazy.
Huh.
Isn't that wild? The most motivational poster of all time. It is correct, isn't it? Let me check it. The calculator. Is it just a poster? No, that is correct. Google confirms. 1.01 to the power of 365. It's nearly 38.
Wow. Can you imagine, like, being almost 40% better after a year?
40 times. Yeah. 40 times better. If you improve 1% every day, you end
is
up
it
at 40 times.
No.
It's a bit ridiculous, but that's like the magic of compounding.
Man, imagine that giving you that as interest rate at a bank.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is usually what a Ponzi scheme offers. I'll give you 1% every day. Never fall for the 1% every day investment opportunities, but in self-improvement, I think it's quite motivational. All right, we still have the chip lead. We've taken a few hits, down to 1.7 million. Still, though, 34 bigs is plenty. Certainly enough to open a solid ace on the button. Mr. Burberry has rags and actually has managed to nearly match the reduced stack. So essentially, co-chip leaders four-handed.
So you can't actually see the Burberry writing all the time. It depends very much on the angle that you're looking at.
Yeah, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't even know this technology existed.
Yeah, it's like, have you gone to a gallery where you can walk from like left to right and the painting changes?
No.
Oh, okay, right. So it's like, it's almost like a 3D one. So when you're looking at it from the side, you're seeing one version of the side of it, and then as you're walking, you can see the middle, and then as you've gone to the other side, you see literally. So the thing kind of looks like this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
Right?
I've seen videos of what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it has to be that technology. So I think that when we caught the wording, it was where he was looking down,
Right.
and we could see the writing from the top. But when he's looking straight at you, that writing actually disappears.
Now here's my question. Do you think he knows the glasses say Burberry?
Well, I'm sure that when he purchased it, he might have
Maybe he
seen
got
it, right?
duped into free advertising. You know, maybe he didn't look at the glasses from the right angle.
Now, Tao Junjie is a player that really believes that you make your own fate. And he has shown us on this final table that he is here to play.
Doesn't seem pained as he usually does when he doesn't feel like he has a playable hand. So maybe just thinking about bet sizing. Yeah, we're going to be opening the baby suited connectors. Wow, two nut lows behind is pretty favorable, but the king queen for the other big stack means we're going to go to a flop. What a flop. Gut shot to the straight flush for the pre-flop aggressor. Does keep end up flopping flush draws when he needs them.
Yeah, it's a small stack on this table. You love it when you see the big stacks playing a hand. Can't see.
Zhang Yu releases.
Yeah, can't see king queen. You know, doing too much here. Chucking a time bank chip. Maybe just calling, hoping to catch something on the turn.
We know he likes to take his time.
Did he say raise?
He did say raise. Those orange chips worth
Wow.
25k apiece.
I'm just surprised. I actually did not think that he would pull a play like this ever. He looks like a kind dad that puts his kids to bed with a bedtime story, you know?
Yeah, he's using his image, and this table is so unpredictable. The Tao Junji factor has been noticed, and maybe some information also given to the table. And we've hit the straight flush. What a bink. And we do check behind with the super nuts. Great timing. And now the ace. Is it tempting for Zhang to try and get Tao off something like maybe a small pair that could have continued? Something like pocket fives, or even hands as strong as pocket tens, pocket jacks. He's going for it.
That's so weird. Did you not see?
He sighed.
Yeah, and shook his head. And then they go for chips.
Everybody is doing the reverse tells. Well, he hasn't placed a bet thus far.
Like, I was reading into that. It's like, oh, yeah, he's folding. And then I'm just like, with his reverse tells literally just on this table, I'm like really confused, you know? Like, everybody's read the same book.
Yeah, looks like he's going to be making a donation to the Tao Junji Foundation. 150k. So 745 in the middle is going to go the way of Tao, which means we're going to have a new chip leader with over 2 million in chips.
I think I've cracked it. Okay.
Okay.
So, when you have the reverse tell, okay, and you bet out, there's a less chance of your opponent raising you. Because it looks really strong.
It does look really strong. I'll give you that. Yeah, you might be right. But in this case,
Well, yes.
as per the rules of tournament poker, if you have the absolute nuts in position on the river, you actually have to raise. Otherwise, it could signal collusion.
Oh, no, I mean, there is 9-10 of diamonds.
That is true. Not the absolute nuts.
But yeah, because if a guy does that at the table versus me and he still bets out, I would not know what to think.
We've basically taken it to level 2 of reverse tells, right? Like, you first react naturally,
Yeah.
and then you do the opposite.
You do the opposite. But we have seen this numerous times on this
3
table.
players total, including this move by you. Really fascinating. Could be the new meta in China, Selena. And maybe you've been out of the loop.
I have me. Because if I sat down on this final table, I actually don't know how I would do, because the reads that I'm getting, it would just confuse the crap out of me at this point. 4 players left. Tao Yunjie has now taken the chip lead with some really impressive plays. Very aggressive, and it's really worked out for him.
Certainly does help to catch a few straight flushes along the way. But as you had just said, before this hand, he's somebody who makes his own luck. So, quick check. We have, I believe 5 million chips in play precisely. Tao has 40%. Bit of a rough peel under the gun, considering we're 4-handed. Those blinds and antes come quick. Still, though, he has nearly 12 bigs. And a walk at the right time, because Tao, running hot, had ace queen. What a time to run hot. 4-handed here at the opening event at TLPT. almost 40 million Korean won up top.
And the thing is, with this final table, it's really important how the table is drawn as well. And when you see somebody like Zhang Yu accumulate a lot of chips, but then you have a player like Tao Jun sitting behind him, it does make his life that more difficult. Jin Baoxin here picking up ace 10 under the gun, four-handed.
In comes the frustration of an unplayable hand. And looks like this one's going to go through.
I think three-handed would be quite fun to watch, as all these players have proven they're quite capable of some interesting plays.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Jin's pocket fours are still lodged in my mind, and can't help but root for him to have the opportunity for that interview you promised. Clicking the pocket fours on the turn. What were you thinking, sir? Meanwhile, Zhang made some moves, as we saw with the king-queen. Wonder what he was repping with that final river bet. I know sometimes it doesn't matter.
An ace.
Just
Yeah, because he's like, oh, not an ace. And then he's like, still betting, right?
I could have an ace. I check raise the flop on
Yeah.
886. I could
Or
have an
then
ace.
now he's probably just representing that. Oh, it looks like he doesn't have an ace, but then he's got something that's even stronger than an ace.
Oh, that is rough. Got to give a walk, I think, with the 10-3. Down to 9 bigs. Somewhat smooth sailing for Jin ever since the pocket fours hand. Ordinarily, the middling stack could really face a lot of heat. So far, so good. His opens, which are with reasonable holdings, he's just playing his ranges and the card distribution. They have been respected. Gets a walk there. All really adds up. Stealing a few blinds here, preserving a few antes there. Now we're under the gun, which is to say the cutoff. We have 4 high, but also we're Tau. Nope, does not qualify. Nor should Jack 8 with 9 bigs. Another walk. This orbit is pretty crucial. One more free hand for Jia Hao, after which it's going to really feel the pinch of posting 2.5 out of the 9 bigs. Pocket queens. What a
That
sight.
will do. Now, do you just raise it up?
Yeah, he's staying all in. He's staying balanced, I suppose. It just looks so strong to raise them. Although their hand is strong as pocket queens, in my opinion, forget balance. Just open. Try to get weaker hands in there.
Bit of a breather room for him now.
Yeah, has to post most of what he picked up, but we'll feel a little bit more pep in his step after looking down at the ladies.
The more I think about this stop is I like it because you think about it, right? It's an hour flight from some of the major cities like Shanghai. You come in here on morning flight, you can go straight into a tournament, you play. You stay a night, you play maybe something like flight 2 tomorrow, right? And if you don't make either one, you go back home and you go back to work, and
come back next weekend.
Next weekend, exactly. And you're not that committed, not like you and I. We flew 20 hours to get here, right? When you fly 20 hours to go somewhere for poker, you're staying for the entire series.
Yeah, that's right. Which has its own charm, 4 to 5 events to choose from every day. Should point out that Korean nationals are not allowed to play here.
Jinbo Shinhwa raising it up with the king 6 suited and big blinds coming along for the ride. Ace 3 of hearts.
Dangerous heart. Both players with the backdoors. Jin outdone by the ace high variety. And looks like
he just shoves it in.
that seems unnecessary, considering you have the draw covered. You don't really need to be afraid of much, and with a shove like this, you arguably are only getting called by better. Can't even get called by an ace with the worst kicker, really. Yeah, folds out a hand that was drawing dead. Not a great result, but up to 710k. The comeback is on. Did not get extra value in that hand. Feels pretty good to be up 2 over 10 bigs. Feels pretty good to be four-handed. 8,000 USD locked up.
Two more hands until the next level of blinds. 30k, 60k.
Is this the level with the break, or is that the next one? We're opening the ace-4, the fake aces, from the cutoff, and this is what you have to be afraid of. Tao could be up to no good, but lets the 8-10 suited go. I think even the bigger stacks maybe are a tad tempted by the pay jump at this point. We're talking about going from 8k to 11.5. The shortest stack did double up effectively, but it is tempting to want to get to three-handed before really piling on the pressure. It's so much easier sitting here in the booth, because even opening in Zhang Yu's spot there, just with the ace-4, you're effectively bluffing. I mean, you're folding to 3-bets more often than not, so finding the willpower to put chips in the middle, knowing somebody as aggressive as Tao is right behind you, it's just not easy. And yeah, look at this. I think Tao really has become a bit snug, but what timing.
What a hand to pick up on the dealer button. The best spot to raise and not have believers behind you. Defending the 6-3. Zhang Yu from the big blind.
Natural 9. Got to see a flop, I guess. No 3, no 6. It's good news for Zhang. Assuming this goes the way it's supposed to, I mean, we're talking about an 850k stack. It's going to be about 17 bigs for Jia Hao. It's down to 5, I believe. Just an orbit and a half ago.
Chipping up.
Should get a glimpse at stacks shortly. It is possible that Jeju is now tied with Jin.
一手牌一手牌2分钟，按照理想只不过是个咱们有点
咱们都
只不过咱们有点慢。
Seven deuce, the super rags, and A3, and we do see the 920k stack for Jin, so they're basically tied. Two short stacks aren't really short. 17 and 18 bigs. Now the premium. Keeping things straightforward is gonna raise from the small with ace queen. It's gone absolutely massive once again.
Tao Junjie here with a playable hand, ace-7 in the big blind. Also the chip leader on this table.
How do you interpret the 4.2x open from the small? Doesn't feel like a bluff, does it? He just lets the ace7 go.
Very nice read there.
It is clear that Zhang Yu is perhaps the least conventional player at the table, at least in terms of sizing. But he's not very balanced. He's not bluffing with these huge opens. And Tao just puts it together.
I don't mind the way he's playing in the sense that, you know how sometimes you sit at the table and you play the game, you know, the internet kid game, right? Okay? But then the opponent that's on your table, they play that game better, right? But when somebody like Zhang Yu does what he does, which is unconventional, and it is almost the opposite of the internet kids raising up to, you know, 2 bigs or, I mean, usually 3 bigs maybe from the small blind, he's actually now forcing his opponent to make a decision of, oh, you know what, if you're going to 3-bet me, you're going to have to make it bigger, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to call, you can call, but are you really going to do that now with a subpar hand like A7's, you know, offsuit? And he just lets it go. So it actually makes his life a little bit more easier when he plays in a certain way against these, you know, better players.
Taking them to a new node, as a friend of mine likes to say. Mind you, pretty standard, right as you said, the internet kids tend to raise it 3x. We did see Tao do exactly that with the queen 9. The choice of holding is unconventional, I will say, with hands as strong as queen 9, as strong, which is to say middling strong. Do tend to see limps a bit more, but having the chip lead made him convert it into a small blind steal attempt, and now the ace-jack finds the correct 3-bet jam behind. Bit of posturing, asks for the count just in case he was priced in, but he certainly isn't. And yeah, we have a little bit of socialism going on at the table, Selena, because all of a sudden everybody has a lot of chips. There's no outright chip leader. For a while it was Zhang Yu, then it was Tao, and there we see it, between 15 and 27 bigs for everyone. 3 stacks in the 1 to 1.6 million range. Shortest stack not too far behind. $8K locked up to 18.5 more to play for first place. Should point out that the next pay jump, or pardon me, the next blind increment is going to be pretty big. So now's the time to make some moves. And I think we will be essentially forced into seeing some action in the very next level, 13 hands away. Not that it's unlikely before, especially with this man, Tao. We'll open the Jack 9 on the button.
Pocket sixes, small blind. Zhang Jiahao here with a million chips behind.
Oh, are we just calling? No, I hate that decision.
Yeah, I think I'm... Oh, okay, right. Wow. That would have been interesting. I'm like thinking jam would be good, you know? Especially versus the button raise, you've got pocket sixes, you know? Great hand. If you don't want to play post flop. I think jamming would probably be the best move here.
Yeah,
because I
certainly.
don't like three betting, right? I just feel like, yeah, like I think a shove with pocket sixes from the small blind here is probably my go-to. And then we're seeing big blind here waking up with the ace king.
So it's so likely that if Jiahao did jam the pocket sixes, we'd be flipping between the short stacks and would almost certainly be down to 3 one way or the other. Instead now, with the flat call from the small blind, again, pretty tough to play pocket sixes out of position.
Definitely. And you're going to have to read your opponent having bigger pairs than your sixes as well. So in that case, you're very much dominated. And yeah, at this point, you just cannot continue with this hand.
Probably wishing he jammed pre-flop. Wow, the mask down for the first time.
Oh, we did not know what he looked like.
We only knew about his glorious mane. Best hair at the table for sure. And looks like Jin is just covering up. Now the Zhang is the one uncovering. The butterfly effect in full force here, because quite surprised to not see the jam, and it would have resulted in one of these two certainly being out of the tournament.
我还是希望人家是能跑，这个条码打有点难受。这两场码来回多学我。
Suited ace for Tao. Did just lose some chips with that button open, but no worries. We'll take another swing from the cutoff this time.
Oh.
Oh my goodness, the Queen Jack suited has been insta-mucked on the button.
Yeah, like was without thinking twice.
That is way too tight. That is a strong holding four-way. I think there is something about this pay jump, Celine. Going from 8,000 to 11.5, maybe the 5-figure USD mark.
Yeah. It seems more significant, doesn't it?
Everybody's been a bit more snug than what we'd seen so far.
Now ace 5. Outdrawing that turn versus the ace 9. Both players still checks. Zhang Yu with option on the river first. Does he take a stab? Checks. And check from Tao Junjie as well. Playing friendly.
Queen Jack gets there on the river for what it's worth. Not that that's the way to approach poker. But yeah, so many different decisions pre-flop possible. Even the ace-9 could have maybe taken the aggressive option, although it doesn't seem to be Zhang Yu's style. Selena, I'll throw it back to you as usual with your tournament experience, is there sort of a portion of the final table, 3-handed, 4-handed, or maybe page jump driven, where you can feel everybody being snug? Like, what I'm trying to say is, if you were on the table right now, would you be able to tell what we're able to tell cards up? That everybody is a little more snug than they were?
Yeah, but that also comes down to just kind of having a little bit more chips, so the urgency is not really there to kind of like, find spots to shove or finding the need to play a big pot. I did find that, the blondie on the table and the Japanese player that busted, they were very snug on the table. They were looking at players busting left to right, center. They were barely playing a hand. We do have Tao Junjie, we have Wang Yu, and then Jin Boxing as the 3 more active players on the table. But at the moment, they are also the type of players who like to see flops, right? They're not the type of players who like to just kind of jam it in pre-flop as well. But that being said, as the blinds catch up with you, as the stacks once again, get shorter, depending. Yeah, we've got like a 40, 80K jump coming up as well. That's definitely going to be putting the pressure on the players.
Well, how's this for pressure? The 7 deuce takes the spot.
And
Gets the job
did
done.
you hear that? Did you hear that reaction from just the crowd right now watching the TV behind us? They're like, damn, right? This guy is up to no good, right? They're like, we need to relay this information back to whoever is left on that final table. Some really impressive stuff, right? Like, I have seen this trend. Like, he was not the first player who has just done it with garbage, right? Like, I think that there was players who has 3-bet with absolutely no equity hands, just because, if they get anybody defending against them, they can just let it go.
We saw the Jack deuce suited, the 9-3, now the 7 deuce.
The 7 deuce.
This is part of that high five equity I was talking about. Once you do it on the stream, it's on the internet forever. You can screenshot it and frame it. Put it up in your poker den. But great points there about the level of activity from the remaining 3 players as well. Could be the incentive to maybe fold hands as strong as the Queen Jack suited, which we did see from Jia Hao. Just because you expect fireworks between these other 3. Really are kind of grinding that pay jump.
Jia Hao here with a 6-5 in the big blind. Pretty much facing a minimum raise. Can, play it either way. He does sit pretty snug, but decided to defend here.
Yeah, commits basically one more big
wow.
and flops the world.
What a flop. It's really rare to like connect this hard, when you're just defending out the big blind, but it feels so good when you do. And you have the under the gun player pre-flop raiser betting 150K. And now you're just looking, how do I get a double up of this?
I mean, it's a rainbow board. Just check, call, and evaluate. Not much else to do. What are you even afraid of? Comes to the same conclusion. 640 in the middle, 585 in his stack. Mind you, Jin's C-bet was on the larger side. Certainly signaling a desire to end the hand right there if he could. Does have the wheel draw, as we can see, meaningless in this exact situation. Check, check. 5 would be disastrous. Instead, it's an ace, which is...
Actually gives Jin Boxing 2 pairs here. But as we know, any 5 does make a straight. So Jin Boxing isn't, that excited about the river card. But action back to Zhang Jiahao. He wants to build the pot a little bit because he probably could see his opponent checking back a lot of hands if he doesn't make a river bet. With the action on the turn being check, check.
What's in the time bank in advance? I know we've been talking about live tells and reads a lot, including reverse tells.
Even using a time bank, right?
Yeah, in this
Yeah.
spot, if you're bluffing and you want to represent strength,
You
tend
usually
not
act
to do
faster,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've seen him put out a really big bet now. $475,000.
Yeah, the sizing is tricky. On the one hand, you have aces up and it's such a strong holding. I mean, considering you open under the gun, you're kind of top of range. However, could you have a 5 in this spot yourself? Certainly. We're four-handed. Could be opening pretty wide.
Yes, as a big blind as well. You know, Zhang Jiahao definitely could have a 5 in his range. And 5 would have played it the exact same way.
Check, call, flop. Check, check, and pretty much bomb the river, putting your tournament life on the line. 110k left behind. And where do the bluffs come from? Maybe you peel with a 6-4, 6-2, 6-3 to the extent you even called with those pre-flop, maybe suited variety. Not too many bluffs possible. He's putting it together, looks like. Very nice fold. In retrospect, it seems natural to go a bit smaller there with the 6-5. If your opponent has a 5, they're going to raise you anyway. And if your opponent doesn't have a 5, you need to give them a decent price to make some sort of a hero call on the 4 to a straight board. Also seems natural to get pretty excited and get a bunch of chips into the middle when you do have the absolute nuts. So we can observe stacks as we make our way around the table. 1.3 for Zhang Yu. 1.8, which is still good for the chip lead for Tao. Looks like he's contemplating the decision with 9-5 of diamonds. It's nice to fold it. 1.2. Nearly the same as Yu for Jiahao. Yeah, we just get it in there. Because the short stack on the table is now Jin, who wakes up with 10-7, down to 610k. Loses the blind and ante. 10 bigs exactly. Eight more hands to go at this level. 2 orbits. Fold it to the blinds. Ace 8 is a pleasant sight. Oh, he's strapping off a short stack. Love this. And we're going post-flop, dominating our opponent. Once again, very creative. Very natural to just jam it in there. Shouldn't change the outcome much because his opponent drawing nearly dead. Does not take the bait. Quick pickup. Once again, the short stack. Recovering. Jiahao has had some rags. Just going to be facing the big blind burden next. Short stack. Can't let the 10-7 go. Looks like a walk for the chip leader. He looked directly at the camera and I saw no hint of the writing on his sunglasses. The 3 high can hit the mark. And Tao, who had been using his chip lead to take aggressive lines from the small blind. Let's see what he does with Queen 8 this time. Yeah, did raise Queen 9 last time around. This time a much more standard limp and Ace 8 in the big. 20 bigs for Jiahao.
How much? Just call.
First he confirms, is it just a call? It is indeed. Yeah, let's ISO. I don't love this term, by the way, Selena. Calling the big blind raise against a limp ISO. Because who are you isolating? It's just the two of you in the pot. It's gone on the smaller side. And Tao comes along pretty quickly. It's just worked out like a charm, hasn't it?
Zhang Jiahao here with the top pair.
Tricky, tricky.
Checking behind and hoping to get some value out of his opponent.
Considering the pre-flop action, I feel like Tao should realize that he's not always getting folds on this street. Takes the marginal equity he picked up in the form of the gut shot and bets 125, and he goes pretty small. And when you go small and your opponent calls, their range remains pretty wide. So is the plan to bomb it? Comes a 9 on the river. We can rep 9s. We can rep aces, although should be more likely to raise from the small blind pre-flop. Pretty tough to rep a 9 precisely.
He's gonna make it big if he does, but checking instead, and now Zhang Jiahao does not go for another bet, just checks behind. Pretty happy with what's built in the middle. 630k pot, not too shabby. Puts him on even playing ground with Tao Jun.
From worst to first. Tied for the chip lead now. Woke up with pocket queens with about 8 bigs, if I remember correctly. Stayed balanced and just jammed. And hasn't looked back since. Tao is certainly taking notes with that ace-8 going to showdown. For one thing, the ISO from the big and the sizing that accompanied it is kind of small. Went with sort of the 2.6x against the limp. Then the check on the flop after flopping the ace and the check back on the river. That's a lot of info. Could come in handy. There's Zhang Yu, and he likes to go big. UTG Open with the King Jack. Nearly feels committing. Has he been at 300?
He is.
Yeah, that's 5 bigs, and this is why this is so dangerous. Ace Jack for Tao. Found the fold with Ace 7 last time correctly. This seems like a different ball game. Oh my goodness.
Wait, did that just happen?
He's folded the Ace
So he's
Jack.
reading Zhang Yu is doing that 4x pre-flop raise with like
Ace
ace
Queen
kings
plus.
and yeah, he has to, right? Like especially this is so bizarre because you see him 3-betting with all these garbage hands, and then when he's got Ace Jack, he's just sending it to the mark.
I think he has a $10,000 debt to pay. This blind jump has completely made him a different player. He is bobbing and weaving every time he feels like his entire stack is not at risk.
No, but it's really weird because we saw Zhang Yu only had, 800 and something behind, right? If you have Ace Jack there, you're pretty much one of the chip leaders. You're borderline putting the player all in. Four-handed, Ace Jack. The player has, 13 bigs?
I hear you, but, trying to put myself in his mindset, I just think he thinks he's flipping at best, not understanding. He could not only have his opponent dominated, but also still have fold equity if he did find the jam. I mean, what a cheeky one for Zhang Yu to get away with there. He has no idea.
No idea. Like, me watching this player for as long as we have on this final table, I didn't see a fold coming. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where like, hey, you want to make a bet? Like we could bet our food vouchers, right? I'm never taking the fold there.
Yeah. Although I will say I've learned from this final table not to bet, because predicting what these guys are going to do is very challenging. I mean, think back to some of the creative plays we saw. Pocket fours, the king queen, the reverse tells. So Jiahao is now technically the outright chip leader. Ace-5 found with 10 bigs on the button. All up to what the blinds wake up with. And King Deuce is not going to cut it. So, yeah, after posting, Tao officially drops down to second in chips. What a turn of events. Yeah, we have a deuce. We can move on from this one. No point considering it. Nice pickup there for the short stack with Jin. Just 3 hands to go at this level, Selena. Things will get pretty shallow at the next level. Oh, pardon me. 2 hands to go. So it's Jiahao posting right now. We've woken up
Jin.
with another ace and we're going with it.
Yeah, he's going for it again. 12 bigs.
Does feel a little more borderline with the ace-6.
I like Zhang Yu, like to know what's going on, how many chips his opponent has, because he just had absolute garbage and he's like, oh, he's all in, like, how much? And Zhang Jiahao here with the Queen Jack in the big blind, now asking for a count. Little bit too much.
Yeah, that's
for
too
his
much.
hand?
12 bigs. 12 bigs is a lot of bigs. You can do magical things with 12 bigs. Another great pickup. Nearly 15 bigs now. He's going to have to post 2 of them. Last hand before the end of the level. Quite a barn burner here. 15 bigs, 21, 24, and 25. It's like we have 3 chip leaders.
And now that would take us to a break of 15 minutes. But don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with 4 players left on this final table of the opening event at Jeju.
It's kind of funny seeing him.
This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah. This is for the real players. From CD nights to Vegas lights. Cards are down, the stakes are high. Just one hit, just one spark. One moment split, you could rise, rise. Eyes on the prize, eyes on the line. This is a game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment, here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At their Lord's book, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Anyone could be a star. For the players, anyone could be a star. High rollers, anyone could be a star. Oh yeah, anyone could be a star. Champions born in silent ways. A single bluff can steal the day. With every trip, your story grows. The Lord's game where the glory flows. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment, here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At the Lord's book, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Rise, hearts on the line. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment, here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At the Lord's book, we raise the bar.
TLPT 一战成名，你们可以在这儿一战成名。
TLPT 可以一战成名。
你可以一战成名，你可以一战成名。TLPT anyone can be a star。
TLPT anyone could be a star。你可以一战成名。TLPT 你可以一战成名。
Anyone could be a star. This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah. This is for the real players. From CD nights to Vegas lights. Cards are down, the stakes are high. Just one hit, just one spark. One moment split, you could rise, rise. Eyes on the prize, eyes on the line. This is a game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment, here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At the Lord's book, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Anyone could be a star. For the players, anyone could be a star. High roller, anyone could be a star. Oh yeah, anyone could be a star. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Rise, hearts on the line. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar.
TLPT 一战成名，
你们可以在这儿一战成名。
TLPT 可以一战成名。
你可以一战成名，你可以一战成名。TLPT, anyone can be a star.
TLPT anyone could be a star， 你可以一战成名。TLPT 你可以一战成名。
Anyone could be a star. This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah. This is for the real players. From TV nights to Vegas lights. Cards are down, the stakes are high. Just one hit, just one spark. One moment split, you could rise, rise. Eyes on the prize, eyes on the line. This is a game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Anyone could be a star. For the players, anyone could be a star. High roller, anyone could be a star. Oh yeah, anyone could be a star. Champions born in silent ways. A single bluff can steal the day. With every trip, your story grows. The Lord's game where the glory flows. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Rise, hearts on the line. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar.
TLPT 一战成名。
你们可以在这儿一战成名。
TLPT 可以一战成名。
你可以一战成名，你可以一战成名。TLPT, anyone can be a star.
TLPT anyone could be a star， 你可以一战成名。TLPT 你可以一战成名。
Anyone could be a star. This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah. This is for the real players. From CD nights to Vegas lights. Cards are down, the stakes are high. Just one hit, just one spark. One moment split, you could rise, rise. Eyes on the prize, eyes on the line. This is a game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. start. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At their Lord's spoke, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Anyone could be a star. For the players, anyone could be a star. High rollers, anyone could be a star. Oh yeah, anyone could be a star. Champions born in silent ways. A single bluff can steal the day. With every trip, your story grows. The Lord's game where the glory flows. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's spoke, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Hearts of the Lord. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown of fame until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's spoke, we raise the bar.
TLPT 一战成名，你们可以在这儿一战成名。
TLPT 可以一战成名。
你可以一战成名，你可以一战成名。TLPT anyone can be a star。
TLPT anyone could be a star。你可以一战成名。TLPT 你可以一战成名。
Anyone could be a star. This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah. This is for the real players. From Sydney nights to Vegas lights. Cards are down, the stakes are high. Just one hit, just one spark. One moment split, you could rise, rise. Eyes on the prize, eyes on the line. This is a game that rewrites time. No crown of fame until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's spoke, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Anyone could be a star. For the players, anyone could be a star. High rollers, anyone could be a star. Oh yeah, anyone could be a star. Champions born in silent ways. A single bluff can steal the day. With every trip, your story grows. The Lord's game where the glory flows. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's spoke, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Hearts of the Lord. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown of fame until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes.
On. Very catchy. And I'm actually trying to convince them to put on like the Apple Store so people could download it. 'cause,
Okay, yeah. iTunes super hit coming. I'd love for them to blast it across the entire casino floor as well. You did mention it's played at the table.
Yeah, it's super catchy. Back to the action on this final feature table. We're down to 4 players in the opening event of the TLPT. All in from Tao Junjie here. Oh, first hand back from the break. A7 and Queens for Jin Bo Xin here.
Barring an upset, Tao is about to be the shortest stack. Did talk about first to worst. 7 ads, 2 more outs. But it's clean. Chen up to 1.7, essentially swapping stacks. Tad better, in fact.
That is not what Tao Junjie wants to see at this point. Dropping down to 7.8 big blinds, where he at some point was one of the chip leaders on our table.
I'm trying to think about it. I think barring Zhang Yu, who took the chip lead early on, now down to 3rd place, everybody's been top of the leaderboard, bottom of the leaderboard, middle of the pack. We're just cycling through it 4-handed, so by no means is it over. Tao can look around and realize at least 2 players have been where he's at right now and climbed their way out of the hole. Seems focused enough to me.
我看咱俩这排呢，没打正好，没打正好。好能这么短？那跟那个别的没有关系，打得好，有一手打正。
So I'm hearing more and more, Selena, that a lot of players are doing quite a lot of studying, sub 10 big blinds, including short-handed. You know, it's one of those areas that we used to treat as all in or fold. The idea was don't ever let yourself get down to 5 or 6 bigs. But, you know, you can do a lot of work and really take your spots. It matters so much, as we see here. Tao gets in the 10-9. Truly not sure about the theory of this jam here. Under the gun tends to be quite loose ever since the big blind ante came in. He doesn't want to post 160k blind on the next hand. And I wonder if Jeju puts that together and realizes ace-6 might be well ahead.
He's cutting out the chips. That's never a good sign, and that is not what you want to see where you're holding a hand like 10 eye offsuit.
Yeah, I didn't see him calling there. Maybe if he was closing the action. Ace-6, as we can see, is not in amazing shape, even against 10-9. King 10 is, though, and he is closing the action. But it certainly hasn't been Zhang Yu's style to call off slightly light. Does he want to risk becoming the shortest stack for the chance to be the biggest stack? So often the question at these stages of the tournament, and looks like Tao's jam goes through. We'll have to post what he just picked up, but that's quite a game changer. Still remains the shortest stack, though. We almost did not get time to process his ace-jack fold. Zhang Yu opened it up to 5 bigs with king-jack. Did let the ace-jack go, and I guess now, with the delay, would have found out that he would have had way the best of it. Blind versus blind between these two, and the king 8 suited can comfortably jam. Don't think he's jamming.
可以帮我换一个，没有红色的太多了。
Mystery hand, but no doubt a weak one considering his check behind. We see it. Jack 5 of clubs and now top pair. What is this? That's more than 80k that he's grabbed in chips. With the backdoor equity, are we supposed to get sticky here? Limp pot pre-flop.
Yeah, I guess a lot of. Oh well, that's one of them. Yeah, I guess he probably thought, you know, there could be a lot of hands, a lot of cards on that turn that could allow him to continue, and king is definitely one of those. Now that being said, the king of clubs does bring Tao Junjie a bunch of outs.
I'm not surprised to see him betting this. For one thing, he should expect kings to jam pre-flop against his stack size. I know Zhang Yu seems not as studied in those spots. And now he's check raise jam, and looks like Tao has snap called it off. Actually has a decent amount of equity considering the two pair outs are live as well, but is way behind. This is for a massive chip lead, and it comes an 8 on the river. We are down to 3. Tao eliminated in 4th place. 8,000 USD for his efforts. All of that happens so fast.
So fast. And, you know, I was thinking that Tao Junjie was going to finish top 3. I wasn't foreseeing him just being busted out there. But it got to a point where, I don't know, like you feel like a player has a certain amount of momentum, and then it kind of felt like he kind of lost it, right? He kind of like wasn't sure. Like he was so confident in his decisions earlier in the tournament, and then it got to a stage where we're a little bit like, oh, that's interesting, right? But maybe it's also the fact that he might have even been told that he folded, say, ace jack versus that king jack hand or whatever, and that resonated with him, and it's something that like it bothered him a lot, right? So yeah, sometimes you get into your head and you just somehow have trouble playing your normal game, you know, after thinking too much or whatever it might be. But yeah, like he felt like he was like a different player all of a sudden when it was four-handed.
Yeah, I mean, let's just think about that river. To your point, you're at least supposed to think about folding a jack there with almost no chance that you're ahead. I understand you have the flush draw as well, but he just snap called it off, even though he had to know he's likely behind.
Yeah, now that brings down you back to the chip lead with 24 big blinds. So you know what? At this point, with that distribution, it's anyone's game.
Yeah.
It really is.
Do we talk deals or what?
I don't know. I actually don't think a lot of dealing happens in Asia. You know, and for this event, what is first getting at this point?
26.5.
26.5. Yeah, like I probably don't see them.
Yeah, let's play.
Yeah,
Play some cards.
You sometimes you want to be like, hey, you want to see the guy who go, let's everybody put it all for first. We'll play for it.
Right. So 11.5 locked up in USD, 17.3 million Korean won. Next page up about 6k, and the one after that another 9. So 15 more to play for.
Zhang Jiahao here picking up ace 5 3-handed, and the blinds are 40-80. So, man, you know, it gets to a point where what do you do at a small blind with a hand like ace 5? Like, there are players who would say, you know what, you shove it in, right? Because the button has a pretty wide raising range 3-handed, and usually your ace 5 is ahead. He opts to call, and looks like it's going to be a 3-player pot. That's actually very rare to see. 3 players going to the flop.
I'm thinking back to when he flatted the pocket sixes when Jin did wake up with the ace king, and never mind all that because we flopped aces and fives. So instead of getting the ace nine to fold with a potential shove, we're now playing with 2 pairs against a single pair. Zhang should be looking to put chips into the middle. Opens under the gun, flops top pair, does have the backdoor heart as well. It's all looking pretty dandy. 560 in the middle. It's time to take a look at Jeju stack 1.3. 300k is the bet.
No, I don't mind seeing a raise here on this board. You know, there could be a lot of draws out there. And with a player behind, and you know, your ace 5 at this point is a hand that you do want to protect against, you know, things like king, queen, king, jack, those cards as well. Big blind could have anything. They could be going for a gut shot straight draw, that kind of thing.
Mind you, the big blind gut shot straight draw would have come in.
Would have come in, exactly.
Right as you say it.
So he got that guy out of the pot, and now Zhang Yu here actually has turned a flush draw. So Zhang Jiahao checking to Zhang Yu putting on the brakes.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow, that is not good. That pretty much locks it up for Zhang Yu. It's what Zhang Jiahao does not want to see, but he is reaching for chips.
Pretty crazy how this hand has gone, in the sense that I would have expected Zhang Yu to potentially get the chips in on the turn itself, but I think his radar was kind of on point. I mean, any decision from the small blind looked very strong there, the 300k call on the flop. So instead he checked back, now gets the check mark in the form of the runner flush, and is facing the 525k bet, and looks like he's about to snap call this.
He's a player who does think through his decisions, but he does put in the call, and gonna see that he was indeed rivered.
Quite a missized river bet there with the ace 5. I understand the desire to block bet, but that's quite a big blocker. Half pot, more than half a stack. Really unfortunate river, but compounded by the decision making out of position there. I mean, there's a world where, given how snug Zhang Yu has been on this table, you can even get checkbacks, you can get value bet for less, or you can block, you know, a couple of bigs. All of that being said, we do have now a tiny stack in the mix, and the remaining 2 players can just eye the heads up. 5.7 bigs for Jiahao. It's on the button, 1 free hand. Oh, it's the Robbie. Not what you want to see. Walk for the chip leader, who had ace king suited. Doesn't show either. So Selena, quick check in. Robbie Liu. Yes or no? And I'm not telling you what the categories mean. You can just say yes or no.
Huh? Do I know the story?
No, I just mean which way do you lean in terms of the story?
Oh.
Sus or no?
Man.
Okay,
See,
I'll make the question easier. Do you think we should name the hand after her or no? It's just such an iconic hand. It cracked through to the mainstream. My normie friends were asking me about it.
Right. Well, that's a crazy. No, because it's interesting, because I'm like, well, no, that's definitely dodgy, right? Like, that was my first impression of it. I was like, yeah, there's no chance that's not dodgy, right? And then sometimes as the more I look at it, I was like, well, maybe she just puts him on this one hand of him just having the draw, and she, with her jack high, just happened to beat that draw. right? Like that's essentially, you know.
But didn't she say she put him an ace high?
Oh, is that what she said?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I'm
well,
forgetting the gory details, but I think that
yeah,
was part
maybe
of it.
I think maybe you're right. I think maybe you're right.
It's just such a perfect cocktail of
Right. Yeah.
maybe we'll never know. And certainly should point out, no evidence, no concrete evidence anyway, so
I mean, the evidence would have just been wiped straight away, clean.
That too.
Like you know, it's yeah. The weapon is not left at the crime scene.
yeah, but innocent until proven guilty, I guess. Maybe the most absurd call of all time. Okay, so we'll deal with the 455k left behind, 5.5 bigs. Pretty much one more free hand before we're auto-committed. So the more important question, do we name the hand after her or no? Very few people get hands named after them. Dolly Parton, Doyle Brunson.
Yeah, but I don't really see it being really in play too much.
That's true.
Yeah, so then you don't really get chances to say it very often.
But if you think about it, all the names for hands are pretty bad hands. 9-5, Dolly Parton. 10 deuce, Doyle Brunson. Jack 4.
John, you're getting the respect on the table as a chip leader, getting a walk.
Yeah, because it comes down to this tiny stack. As the middling stack, you just have to give the walk. We're going to have 5.5 bigs, and 2 of them are going to be put in without looking at your cards. One more poker principle I want to run by you, Selena. Considering you started out playing when there were traditional antes, now we transitioned into big blind antes, as we do see the ace queen and the easy jam. Might even consider trapping it, although it doesn't seem like his style.
Is he going with 4 big blinds now? That would be 320,000 chips.
It's a fake all-in, essentially. King 5, gotta go with it. No option, but I'd be shocked if he folded this.
I
With
do find him
signal.
on the tighter side, though. It's one of those cases where, players would actually say, I'd rather shoving myself than calling it off, right? They do make that argument. It just feels worse to call it off with King 5 off. But yeah, it's really tough when you only have,
We could be ahead. Could be ahead of Queen Jack.
less than 4 bigs. Yeah. The chips are going. It's you're seeing 2 live cards. I can't complain at this point. When you have 2 live cards, there's a lot more hope.
36%.
Yeah,
Not too shabby.
Not at all. Not bad at all.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no.
Jinx, Selena.
That is as bad as it can get.
We were so optimistic, and there you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, whoa. Wait. 4 outs? That's not it. We're
All
down
right.
to heads up.
We got a sweat. That's all you can hope for, I suppose, as we do lose. Zhang Jiahao in 3rd place. 11,500 USD. What a great return on the near 600 USD buy-in. 17.3 million Korean won. We're heads up. 25.8 million Korean won locked up.
This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah. This is for the real players. From TV nights to Vegas lights. Cards on down, the stakes just one spark. One moment's playing, your girl rise, rise. Eyes on the prize, eyes on the line. This is a game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At their Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Anyone could be a star. For the players, anyone could be a star. High rollers, anyone could be a star. Oh yeah, anyone could be a star. Champions born in silent ways. A single bluff can steal the day. With every trip, your story grows. The Lord's game with the glory flow. Anyone could be a star. This is a moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Hearts on the line. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar.
TLPT 一战成名，你们可以在这儿一战成名。
TLPT 可以一战成名。
你可以一战成名，你可以一战成名。TLPT, anyone can be a star.
TLPT anyone could be a star， 你可以一战成名。TLPT 你可以一战成名。
Anyone could be a star. This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah. This is for the real players. From CD nights to Vegas lights. Cards are down, the stakes are high. Just one hit, just one spark. One moment's playing, your girl rise, rise. Eyes on the prize, eyes on the line. This is a game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Anyone could be a star. For the players, anyone could be a star. High roller, anyone could be a star. Oh yeah, anyone could be a star. Champions born in silent ways. A single bluff can steal the day. With every trip, your story grows. The Lord's game with the glory flow. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the ground to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Hearts on the line. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play it slow, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar.
TLPT 一战成名，你们可以在这儿一战成名。
TLPT 可以一战成名。
你可以一战成名，你可以一战成名。TLPT anyone can be a star。
TLPT anyone could be a star。你可以一战成名。TLPT 你可以一战成名。一战成名。
Anyone could be a star. This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah, this is for the real players. From TV nights to Vegas lights. Cards are down, the stakes are high. Just one hit, just one spark. One moment split, you could rise, rise. Rise on the prize, rise on the line. This is a game that we write time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Anyone could be a star. For the players, anyone could be a star. High rollers, anyone could be a star. Oh yeah, anyone could be a star. Champions born in silent ways. A single bluff can steal the day. With every trip, your story grows. The Lord's game where the glory flows. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Rise, hearts on the line. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar.
TLPT 一战成名，你们可以在这儿一战成名。
TLPT 可以一战成名。
你可以一战成名，你可以一战成名。TLPT anyone can be a star。
TLPT anyone could be a star。 你可以一战成名。TLPT 你可以一战成名。一战成名。
Anyone could be a star. This is for the high rollers. Be a star. Yeah, this is for the real players. From TV nights to Vegas lights. Cards are down, the stakes are high. Just one hit, just one spark. One moment split, you could rise, rise. Rise on the prize, rise on the line. This is a game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame, until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark. From the grind to the golden card. At the Lord's poker, we raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. leave your mark from the ground to the golden car. That been lost poker will raise the bar. Anyone could be a star. Hearts on the line. This is the game that rewrites time. No crown, no fame until you dare. 'Cause greatness starts from anywhere. Anyone could be a star. This is the moment. Here you are. Play your soul, play it hard. Raise the stakes, play your part. Light it up and leave your mark from the ground to the golden car. That thing Lord spoke, we raise the bar.
TLPT 一战成名，你们可以在这儿一战成名。
TLPT 可以一战成名。
你可以一战成名，你可以一战成名。TLPT, anyone can be a star.
TLPT anyone could be a star， 你可以一战成名。TLPT 你可以一战成名。
We're back, folks, and we're heads up. The opening event trophy at 26.5k USD up for grabs, 17.2k locked up. Outright chip lead for the man on the screen. Zhang Yu has had not the smoothest of sailings, but certainly going down from four-handed to heads up. It's been all Zhang Yu. Comes into heads up with a 3-1 chip lead. 15 bigs is the short stack. Jin Bo-shin. Jin was the shortest stack four-handed. Considerably so, so well done on getting this far. Now actually a bit tricky to not bet medium pair on the flop, and now it's been outdone by the pair of tens, and somehow it's gone check again. Wow, a shocking check by Jin, who seems to have a little more experience playing short-handed compared to Zhang, and yet does not bet middle pair. Value missed out on. Still, each pot closes the gap a considerable amount. Gonna follow the same policy about number of hands at each blind level. Heads up, that is gonna happen a lot quicker. Let's see what strategy Jin has brought to heads up. Queen 5 is usually a limping kind of holding, at least the way the game is being played these days. That being said, he's taking the aggressive option, it looks like. I personally prefer this myself. Let's just min raise and try to take it down. And take it down he shall. And just with those two pickups, he's so much closer in stacks. Instead of a 3-1 chip lead, we're talking 2-1, which means the potential for a double up is just so much more threatening. Instead of evening stacks, you'd be swapping stacks. Queen on the button for Zhang now. Let's stay aggressive. Yeah, I like this. More chips being grabbed. Both players uninterested in limping
16万对。
thus far.
16万。有 160。Okay.
Pocket 5 for Jin. Should be an all-in, and he finds it. This is exactly why you're going to end up folding out so many of those 2 overcards. No point taking a flop, giving them the chance to connect. Even if you do get called by the best overcards, you're flipping. Zhang is not happy. Needs to let this go. And it's going to be a 1.8 versus 3.3 situation, so not even 2-1 now. That's 3 in a row, mind you, for Jin. Momentum is so crucial in heads up, it can make all the difference. King, queen, pretty strong on the button. Can we go 4 in a row here?
1-6.
Min open. The psychological factor starts playing a role, and Jack is queen jack. Queen jack is pretty good heads up too. Could expect a lot of 3 bets from other players, but I don't think it's Jank's style based on what we've seen so far. Especially could be a bit more gun shy out of position. No queen, thankfully, for Zhang at least. Both players with the gut shot to Broadway. Ace 10 for Rainbow certainly favors the pre-flop aggressor. He's going to use the range advantage. Just fire 1 big. Wouldn't mind getting called. And he might just get called. Queen Jack is 2 overs to the middle pair. And of course, a straight draw to the nuts. Yeah, got to peel a card here. It's grabbing, calling chips. Double gut shot now for the Queen Jack. A 9 or a king. Backdoor hearts appear as well. There's just not much John can do except for check this. His opponent could have an ace. But he looks like he's scheming. Yeah, it does check and flow. And arguably the scheming, a bit of a sign of weakness. Yeah, Jin's hand, an obvious check candidate as well. You don't want to get blown off the hand, considering the showdown value. And that showdown value does give him the check mark. No 9, no king. So what is that now? 4 in a row? 2.1 to 2.9, a 3-1 chip lead reduced to similar sounding stacks now. Not only 4 in a row pre-flop, but in this case, effectively getting some value on the flop as well with the king high. All the psychological momentum in favor of Jin, and perhaps you can see it on Zhang's face there. Still has the chip lead, the most crucial fact in heads up. Can never lose a tournament as long as he has the chip lead. At least in a single hand. King Queen for Zhang this time. just rips it. Wants the momentum back so badly. It's not a bad move, mind you. 20 bigs effective. Perfectly reasonable.
Oh.
Maybe not the most EV move, though, I will say. I mean, just think about the exact holding Jin had. The King 4. Might come along to a min open. Heads up, you're certainly supposed to come along. Even though you're out of position, and then you're going to the flop with a dominating holding. Still, though, the psychological arresting of momentum was so important. Finally, one pot goes Zhang's way. And what a difference it can make now, 31 bigs to 19. Queen 5 suited. We saw him open the Queen 5, this time limping. And King 10 suited for Zhang. Rips it. He's enjoying the all-ins. 2 in a row. Mind you, one of the factors driving this change in strategy is the blinds going up. 50k, 100k. Slow increments until the next 2 levels. Can just feel the tension a little bit. Zhang a little more trigger happy than he was at the previous level. 7-5 suited now. How do we approach this?
Right.
Looks like a min raise. And how does Jin read into the non-all-in? Not the ideal 3-bet candidate with the Queen 4. Let's go. So 3 in a row for Zhang now. Couple of people on the rail. We're playing for around 9,000 USD. Almost 14 million Korean won. And of course, the glory, the trophy. Selena will be presenting all the trophies from today, tomorrow morning. Wonder if that includes the team events as well. Likely should. Here's another jam. 4 in a row. Jin feeling boxed in. Pardon the pun. Another all-in. Wow. That's 5 in a row. Got a feel for Jin there. Needs to pick something up to fight back. Until then, is handcuffed. We'll try our luck once again with the Queen 9, and this time Zhang cannot shove. Limp pot. Let's see a flop. It's been a while. Zhang flops best. Could this be 6 in a row, even after seeing a flop? Still has the best hand. This is heads up. A pair is likely to be good. Can he find a quick bet to just end proceedings? If he checks here, he's opening himself up to be bluffed off the hand. Does check. I'd argue it's tough to call with just a pair of deuces, but he's not put to the test. And does get the check mark. Queen high, no good against bottom pair. Do we see the showdown? We do, and we're back to where heads up started in terms of stacks. I've actually lost count myself. I think 6 in a row for Zhang. The momentum, the psychological advantage has certainly turned. Not to mention the blinds are up since we started heads up as well, so Jin feeling the pressure. Might have to start jamming instead of limping. Snap all in with a computer hand. Actually good play. And looks like it's been snap called with a king deuce. This is the first time Zhang jammed a hand worse than king deuce. But Jin puts it together and does make the call. 45, 55. Or we might have even stacks. There's a deuce. But there's 2 diamonds as well. 15 outs, and a diamond just ends it. Zhang lets out an exclamation of joy, and who can blame him? Closes things out. 26,500 USD. That's nearly 40 million Korean won. As the heads-up competitors do shake hands. Congratulations to Jin Bo-shin. Second place at the opening event. And most of all, congratulations to Zhang Yu. Ships the opening event first of 202 entries and wins 26,500 USD. Thank you so much for being with us. We will be presenting a trophy to him tomorrow morning. And of course, we will continue our streaming schedule all the way till the end of the series. See you tomorrow.